This is Jessica Jones on Defenders TV podcast. We're talking episode 2, aka Crush Syndrome. Welcome back, Defenders. This is Defenders TV podcast episode 32. We're talking about aka Crush Syndrome, the second episode of Jessica Jones. I'm Derek, one of your hosts.
Hi, I'm John, one of your other hosts.
Howdy, I'm Chris, the third and final host.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. We're into our second episode of our run through Jessica Jones. Just want to start out by saying thanks to Mississippi McDonald for our new theme tune. Hope you guys are enjoying it. That's our new theme tune for our Jessica Jones podcast. Yeah, really good of him to
Yeah,
do
thank
that.
you so much, Oliver, for doing that work. It's really appreciated. If anyone wants to check out Mississippi McDonald, if anyone loves the blues, then check his website out. The address is in the notes to our podcast on our website, so it's MississippiMcDonald.com. Just check that out if you are a fan of the blues.
Yeah. We also want to say thanks to Flickering Myth Podcast Network, which are now sharing our episodes, so you should be getting your episodes over there. Guys, what did you think of episode 2 of Jessica Jones?
I loved it. I thought it was a really, really good development and progression on from episode 1. And a few things that I certainly wasn't expecting. And in particular, like, wow. I mean, abs central, angle grinder central. There's not many men that can do that. Not even Marky Mark in his heyday.
Chris?
I'm actually now, I'm still loving the show as a series to date. I'm questioning myself, is it going slowly or is it just me? I think in Daredevil we had a bit more wham bam, whereas this is a private detective show in that I don't think there's going to be fights every episode. I think that's just something I need to maybe temper myself with, but as a whole, I'm loving it.
Yeah, really, really good so far. So if you want to follow along with all of our coverage, just make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. You can get to it easily by going to defenderstvpodcast.com/iTunes, or you can subscribe in any other good podcast catcher for Android through Beyond Pod, Podcast Addicts, Player FM, or you can get us on Stitcher. And if you want to send us any feedback, just send it to feedback@defenderstvpodcast.com. We got a little bit of feedback already on the first episode of Jessica Jones and our first podcast. So we'll read that feedback out at the end of the episode. If this is your first time joining us, the way we cover our episodes is we discuss our 5 points that stood out to us about the episode. Hopefully through that, even though there may be a little bit of crossover, we'll cover all the pieces of the episode that we feel are important or stood out to us. And then at the end, we decide whether we defend the episode or not. aka Crush Syndrome, the second episode, was directed by S.J. Clarkson and written by Mika Schraft. John, do you want to give us the synopsis for this episode?
Yes. Jessica Jones resolves to prove Hope innocent of her parents' brutal murder as she tries to enlist a skeptical Jerry Hogarth to be Hope's legal counsel. Jessica also begins to explore her own troubled past to find answers to help Hope. At the same time, her one-night stand with local barman Luke Cage starts to get complicated, as he's told he was just another case for alias investigations, and both of them begin to suspect that each other is not what they outwardly appear to be. As Jessica delves deeper into the suspected death of her former adversary, it becomes apparent that his death is but a lie. Other unexpected leads in the case give rise to a possible weakness in Kilgrave's special abilities. Now it becomes a level playing field.
Good stuff. Thanks, John. Chris, do you want to kick us off with your first point?
Yeah. Okay. So we're now 2 episodes in, just under 2 hours of kind of Jessica Jones themed content. And I'm starting to see some of the patterns, if you want to call it, within the writing. There's 6 main storyline or threads that we're going to be crossing over and kind of coming in. And they seem to be kind of referring back to them enough now that I think they're going to be kind of key ones. The first is we're going to have Jessica's relationship with Trish. So it's her best friend. They got bruises together. There's obviously a bit more into their kind of backstory that we'll start learning, I'm assuming. We have the on again, off again, will they, won't they, with Luke. We have Hope's whole story, in terms of her being accused. We have Mr. Kilgrave, the lovely David Tennant.
Yes.
How could we not love that?
Well, he tells us to.
That's true.
We love you, David.
And then we have the twins, which the comedic element. So we have the fraternal twins upstairs. Obviously, we have her junkie housemate or building mate, or what would you call them? Neighbour? That's the word.
Right, yeah. Malcolm, yeah.
And then you have the affair between Jerry and her secretary.
Yeah.
So the downfall of that relationship. So key to the central plot, which will be kind of Jessica going after Kilgrave. We've got 5 other kind of meaty storylines going on in the corner.
Absolutely.
I think these kind of other ones are going to be key, because it's interesting to see how Jess is going to interact with these plot lines.
Absolutely.
Because is she going to be the best friend that Trish wants her to be? Is she going to get herself involved with the fall of Jerry's marriage? We have obviously Hope. Is Hope a new Jessica in terms of, we know that happened. Luke, I'm just hoping that gets further and further. It's going to be funny. And then the Kilgrave bit. I think the one I'm most interested in is Trish.
Yeah.
In terms of, we've seen her fighting now, we've seen her bruises. What else is going on? Like, will she become Hellcat in this?
Maybe.
Will she become a temporary ally for the Defenders in the mini movie that we're going to expect to see? Will she even turn up an Iron Fist? There's a lot there, but that's it. Just some of my, and obviously the comedic element with the twins was brilliant in this episode.
Absolutely.
I don't know how to follow that with 6 points in one. This is
the cake.
This is like awesome. Has never happened before. Even I only do, when asked for one thing, maybe 3. But I mean, on those points on the story arcs that are sort of there, I definitely am interested in Trisha Walker, and I didn't expect to be, but this episode with the whole practicing taking a gun out of someone's hand with a trainer, and the fact of that going on, and with the bruises, that really intrigued me, and obviously that she could become Hellcat, so I'm really intrigued by that. I love the comic relief, that whole confrontation, just because you had in Jessica's apartment, you've heard the noise, she's chucked her shoe up at the ceiling, it sounds like, who are the people upstairs? And we finally get to meet them, and it's just like, okay, it's you two. Wow, okay. And it's just the whole interaction is really good, and yeah, that looks like it could just become a nice little development on the side. And then I'm really interested in Jerry, and what she is going to do here. Will she introduce elements of the Iron Fist? Will she have some kind of massive downfall from this real plush partnership, this legal partnership that she has? So I'm really intrigued. But I think my first point is, I want to see more of Luke Cage's abs. I mean, like, at the end of the day, that's the storyline I want to follow. I have to say, I loved it. Where he got that angle grinder from, I do not know. Does he carry it in his back pocket? Does Jessica have it in a sideboard somewhere? I don't care. The fact that he can angle grind his abs, washboard abs, chiseled abs, that to me was both funny, really funny. I did laugh, but I just loved it. I loved how it was played out, because even though it could have really descended into just a bit of like crazy funny that didn't suit the tone of the show, but it felt right, even though it was a bit silly. I absolutely loved it because it showed his unbreakable skin, and that is something that I wasn't expecting to see at all in this episode.
Yeah, we questioned last episode whether he was already powered or not, and we thought he might not be. We thought he might be, might not be the relationship there. Yeah.
Definitely. Like when we saw the first episode in New York, I had no conception that he was already Luke Cage, the man with the unbreakable skin. That to me was something that probably would get found out in his own series, Luke Cage. But obviously there's the bar fight where you get the hint of that, but then, you know, he proves it. He shows to Jessica that he is the same as her. He is a superhero in terms of with special abilities, gifts, and all that kind of aspect.
I have to say, I put it on Kristen Ritter. I think she sells the scene very well because she looks terrified when he takes the angle grinder to his body. It looks like it's almost like a chainsaw that he's taken to his body in her eyes. She looks completely freaked out, like there's something from a horror movie that's happening right in front of her. And I think she really sells the scene.
Definitely. I mean, I've started on the 30-day shred for like the lead up to Christmas. And quite frankly, if I were to get those abs, I'd be like, oh, hooray, hooray. I don't think it's going to happen.
An angle grinded based the six pack.
Yeah. I mean, it's either that or it's an apron with abs.
Yeah,
basically. That is how I'm going to look anything like Luke Cage. But it was a phenomenal scene.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant. Absolutely loved it.
And we do get the appearance of the Marvel abs again. He must train in the same place that Charlie Cox does to get those.
I think they're more Chris Pratt. They're probably a bit more defined, more Chris Pratty than the kind of Charlie Cox.
Possibly.
I did want to inject at the beginning, kind of just when we're talking about this, is we last episode kind of said this is very much a feminine-led kind of show.
Mm-hmm.
This scene kind of proves it to me.
Right.
Like it was fine. It was just that was one for the ladies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was 100%. I'm like, I can see it. I kind of wish I had it, but I'm like,
Not just for the ladies.
Okay.
I do hasten to add. But, I mean, it was just, like, I'm wondering what is he going to come out with next? You know, angle grinder, you know, will he get a sort of a drill and start to go in, a sander?
Diamond cut.
Yeah, exactly.
How does he get the hair off his head?
Sander.
Yeah, maybe.
But a really good scene. I mean, it was injected with fun. I mean, it was, potentially scary at the time, where what's he going to do? Is he going to kill me?
Yeah.
Because they've kind of split up as well prior to that. So they're not on the best of terms because she's been investigating him. Again, another case that's just about an extramarital affair and so on. So, you know, we'd kind of thought there was something going on why she would be up on the fire escape in the first episode taking pictures of him, but it was just good fun. It kind of has re-injected that kind of sort of bond between the two of them, because he's showing that, look, I'm like you. There's something different, gifted about me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And kind of connected to that is my first point, which is about the bar fight. I think this was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it because we get to see a superpowered Luke Cage and a superpowered Jessica Jones going up against a group of rugby lads, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was really good.
What a group of 8 rugby lads are doing in the middle of Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
I'm a bit...
I did think it was a weird choice to have some people that were playing rugby in New York. You'd assume it'd be American football, wouldn't it? But it's a rugby team that are the
and
guys
it's
that
rugby league as well.
Yeah.
It's not rugby union.
The interesting distinction.
Yes, apparently, although I have no idea why.
You know, rugby league is the best rugby.
Right. Okay.
See. Yeah.
Answers on a postcard.
Hashtag John was wrong.
You know?
But yeah, this was fantastic to actually see Luke go up against some pretty big looking guys. You know, as Jessica's looking in through the window, she sees 6 or 7 guys staring him down and jumping on his back essentially, and he just throws them off. We get him cracked over the head with a bottle essentially, and stabbed in the skin, and the bottle doesn't pierce, which is the first realization that he has got the unbreakable skin. It's fantastic. And I love the fact that he doesn't even turn around when people are hitting him. He doesn't even make any reaction sometimes when he's getting hit by some of these guys.
That was something I absolutely loved from it. His expression is one of, look lads, just just don't even try. And then he's kind of like flicking people into the bar. He's kind of rolling his eyes. I mean, you kind of want him to just prop up against the bar, maybe do a yawn as he's like flicking these rugby guys away. And it's really good. Plus then he's got one eye on Jessica, seeing what she's doing.
Exactly.
And it's a really great scene. And yeah, like connected in with the abs, it is just that, okay, he does have the unbreakable skin. Excellent. I just wasn't expecting that. For me, that was just sheer delight seeing his unbreakable skin.
Absolutely. And as well, seeing Jessica, I mean, her fighting ability as well. So she's not just strong and powerful. She can also throw people around pretty
One-handed.
One-handedly. That's fantastic. Another great shot where she picks up a guy and throws him over the bar like he's nothing. Brilliant.
Although she did superpower kick a guy between the legs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of made me go, ooh, okay, right. You were super strong, and that's kind of... That guy got up, though. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Is she pulling her kicks?
She must be.
I think that was the bit when you saw Luke getting kind of smashed over the head. He was looking, and he didn't care. It was just like, yawn, as you said. And I'm like, there was this kind of like, meh, move over there. You go over there and just go away. She even kind of had this slight, okay, now stop. Yeah. And I think that was the fun point. When we see them unleash, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And I think because they looks like they're holding back. So I'm dying to see them go up against like a Reckoner or the Devastation Crew or someone, a Hell's Kitchen type, the Wrecking Crew, for example, the guys with the crowbar and the ski masks and stuff, because that's going to be interesting because they're super strong and almost unbreakable. And then it becomes a proper kind of fisticuffs match where people are knocked down. Yeah. Like, basically what I want is a superhero powered hallway corridor scene from Daredevil. Can you imagine that? Not only just people flying through the door, they're flying through the wall.
That would be great. But I did like this bar fight scene. I didn't expect to have, given the first episode and the pace of it. I didn't really expect a big fight scene to come in the second episode. They did it with Daredevil. That's how they closed out the second episode of Daredevil, was the big fight scene, essentially, and that's the center of it. The show feels different. It doesn't feel like it's going to have that many huge fight sequences in it. It feels much more cerebral. So just to have this scene to show off the powers of the two characters, I thought was great.
No, absolutely. And I think, like, Chris made a really good point when we were watching it about how Jessica seemed to be damaging the bar more than Luke did.
Yeah.
And the fact that you had in the first episode this idea that she deduces from speaking with Luke that, you know, if someone did start to break up the bar, then you'd get mad and you would probably throw them out or punch them or something. So it was really interesting to kind of see that happen. And again, it was also just, the context was about their relationship. You know, she's coming to help him because she's just had a visit from Gina, the woman who he's been seeing, and he doesn't know is married. She's told him that her husband's about to head down, and she's trying to make up for the fact that, you know, he was pretty annoyed at her for being just a case.
Yeah. So
I really like that kind of context to the bar fight as well. I thought that was really, really sweet.
Absolutely. And it closes out again with some free booze. Free shots for all, as Luke says. So he likes giving out the free booze, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
I want to drink in Luke's.
Absolutely. Chris, do you want to give us your second point?
It kind of continues on. It just actually, Luke as a whole, I was very, very, very happy to see him powered. But we did see previously we had asked with that photo within the, in the cupboard with Jessica. Who was that? Is it a sister? Is it... We still don't know. But then we see in the hospital a name, which I'm pretty sure was the same girl from the bus crash.
Yeah.
And that turns out to be Reva Connors with the name on it. So some of our eagle-eyed kind of internet accessed listeners can do a quick search on that. In 1972, in the first Luke Cage Hero for Hire #1, Reva Connors is Luke Cage's partner.
Right.
Not superhero partner, I mean relationship, romantic partner.
Right.
I don't think they're married or anything. So that leaves me now more speculation. Okay, we've got a girlfriend, a dead wife, a dead something situation kind of coming on here. But they're being truthful. The truthful kind of to the core stories. It looks like we're going to get the Alias kind of storylines from Jessica Jones by Brandis. They're not going for a more soft-core version. We think we're going to get that, and I'm pretty sure now. And then it's also they're being truthful to Luke Cage's kind of origin stories.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't get the afro with the bracelet across or the headband. Although it could be, imagine we get this amazing Halloween photo in his house somewhere of him dressed up in the yellow with the headband with a big fro. It'd be amazing.
I wouldn't like to be the guy that asks him even to try on that costume. I don't know whether Mike Coulter would be up for that.
I just don't want to be the guy who goes, "Is that a tiara you're wearing?"
Yeah, definitely. That's just looking for fights, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's you're like going, no, yeah. So it's just that was very interesting for me. I'm glad that they're staying so honest to these characters, and again with Trish, they're staying truthful to Hellcat. So she's training. She either was or will be Hellcat. So unlike Daredevil, where they took Night Nurse and changed her and molded two characters together, this is okay. No, we've learned our lessons. We're not gonna mess with some of you guys and your stories.
Yeah, and they recently said, just a slight side point, they did recently say that Night Nurse, we thought was Night Nurse in Daredevil, is not Night Nurse because that character is going to appear in Doctor Strange. So that wasn't Night Nurse.
Oh, so who's Claire going to be?
So Claire is just Claire Temple.
Oh,
there you go. So we'll find out more as she might appear in Jessica Jones.
She might indeed.
I was expecting to see her in the hospital.
Definitely.
Because we think it is the same hospital, Hell's Kitchen Hospital.
Yeah, you'd assume. That's that's pretty close to the Hell's Kitchen area, the hospital that they're talking about. So we assumed, I definitely assumed we see her in there. We didn't see her, did we?
No. Well, there was an African-American lady, but you couldn't kind of tell.
Right.
It was just the back of the head. And I'm like going, no, they'd be a bit more... Here she is.
Yeah, boom. Absolutely. They definitely wouldn't get her on board just to walk past in the background, would they? They'd definitely focus in on her.
Well, again, they don't want to, we all love Easter eggs. So, I'm expecting to see another Stan Lee kind of Easter egg cameo, picture on the wall type thing.
Hopefully.
Here's Uncle Stan.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's true, actually. We've got to keep our eyes peeled for
the Stan.
Stan the man, definitely.
So, John, did you see Stan in this episode, or do you have another point?
I didn't see Stan in this episode. My next point is we get to see Kilgrave, and he's knocking on the door of apartment 128B, and the poor family that are located within it. This is our first real big sort of look at Kilgrave, and there's still not that much. It's very, from... pan shots from behind the head and all that.
Yeah.
But again, this is a really nice scene. You have his mind control powers on show here. You have his essential disdain for their children. They're telling them to get into the closet. I'm kind of thinking, how long are they going to be in there? You just see him taking over that family apartment, sitting down to enjoy their meal, kind of cleaning a knife, a pretty brutal looking knife. Whether these people are going to survive is something to speculate on, but this was a really good little introduction just to see him. It was great to see him there. We have that purple aspect again on the subway with Jessica Jones, where he's bleeding into her thoughts. Really good, but it's great to see him then in the flesh, in person, doing his thing in kind of real time, I suppose. Yeah,
it's the first time we've seen him in real time. I think I mentioned last episode, everything that we saw of him was all in flashback. It was all people describing what his powers were like or giving elements of what he'd done in the past. This is a really creepy scene where he goes in, he sits down for dinner, as you say, asks them what it is, and then is told that the lamb, the speciality of the husband in the house. And he says, well, I'll make up my own mind. I have very particular tastes, while he's stroking that knife. Really creepy scene. Yeah, I'm really concerned for that family. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think Kilgrave, the bit I was quite interested in is they're referring to Kilgrave as a cockroach. So Jessica, we see the cockroach in the sink, and it scurries into the sink at the beginning of the episode. so obviously getting into the pipes, the inner workings down into the mind. And at the end of the episode, when she's kind of embattled herself to, I can fight him, the cockroach comes up and she squishes it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a nice metaphor. Yeah. That was quite clever.
Yeah, it was really well done, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, and the kidneys? How badly damaged is he going to be? Or how badly... We know so now his kidneys were shot. But crushed
syndrome. Oh.
Yes. Crushed syndrome kidneys. Or crushed kidney syndrome. There you go. But yeah, no, so that bus and that was a bit of like, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I was expecting, okay, that's how he died. You'd expect a bit more. So I'm wondering, is there an element where we'll see a bit more scarification, something? Will they mar the beautiful David Tennant's face so that he's not recognizable?
Well, isn't it interesting that he convinced someone to replace the kidneys for him, and that's the whole thing. He wouldn't accept the fact that he would be able to live with the one kidney he had. He wanted to get both of them replaced for perfectly brand new kidneys. So he's obviously quite a sensitive person. Knowing that he can tell anybody to do whatever he wants them to do is very important to his character.
Yeah, no, I actually really liked that scene with the bus, because the way it was, maybe it was just the way the CGI was done, but it looked like, in trying to get out of the way of it, he had tried to control the mind of the driver to avoid him. But then in doing so, it tipped the bus over, and then he got knocked and chucked out of frame of the camera. But I really liked that scene, and you also then see the fact that Jessica is in some way able to resist his control.
Yeah.
Presumably down to her own superpowers, maybe.
Yeah, I wrote down exactly the same point, but it looked to me as if Jessica was not only just resisting, it looked like she was walking in front of the bus to kill herself. It looked like she was going to commit suicide. And that's why he was calling her back, essentially. And then he made the bus flip, knocking him over. That's the way I took the scene. Yeah, really interesting. Really looking forward to seeing a bit more of Kilgrave, but a great scene, definitely.
Derek, what's your next point?
My next point is just part of the subway scene, which I just thought was a really well filmed scene and really well put together piece, where Jessica's sitting on her own on one side of the subway looking around at all the couples and all the people around her. It's just such a well put together scene because it shows you how distant she feels to the rest of the people. In a city like New York, which is cramped enough with millions of people around her, you can really feel the isolation of this character. She's sitting on her own watching. There's a couple on one end. There's some old friends clearly who are sitting beside each other, talking the whole time to each other. I really like the scene and the placement of it. And during that scene, essentially, in comes Kilgrave to give her another wake-up call, and she smashes the window of the subway, distancing herself further from all the people around her who wouldn't have even noticed her if it wasn't for this Kilgrave hanging over her head.
No, absolutely. Again, it's just a really great scene where it goes purple, like all of a sudden out of the blue. Pardon the colour change there. It really does just. I love it because it's just so unexpected. Like, part of me was thinking, is she going to see him here or something? But it is just literally this kind of, this memory lapse. Like, it's almost like she loses concentration, and that's when he comes in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of unexpected all the time. And I just think that's really, really cool way of doing it. And of course, everyone then looking at her going, why has she just done that? And, there's the big smashed, kind of cracked window of the metro train.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on that point, I'm starting to wonder, is this the PTSD, or is he actually following her? Is he, because she said there was a distance thing.
Yeah.
So is it he actually talking to her? Is he whispering to her in her mind? Because I don't fully understand the powers just yet. Does he have to vocalize it?
Yeah.
Can he project with his mind? That kind of thing. So I'm curious now. Is Kilgrave like alive following her going round, or is this kind of post-traumatic stress disorder and she's just freaking out at every time she lets her mind wander?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Trish said it to her in the first episode, didn't she? That is he back, or are you just getting those visions again? Do you just need to go and see that psychologist again that you saw? I thought that was quite interesting, definitely.
Yeah, and I think she also says to Hope that it will begin to fade. I think that was from the first episode.
Yeah.
So maybe these are just kind of like really distant, really kind of just at this stage echoey remnants of what he did to her, but maybe still have a force that knocks her each time that she gets them. So no, that's really interesting actually to see. Is it just in her mind and this PTSD, or is it actually him back alive and there? Like, he is alive and he's there, but is he able to like project towards her in that way?
Yeah.
Is it kind of once he's made the connection at some point, he's always maybe got that kind of line into the person who he's affected?
Yeah.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Chris, do you want to give us your next point?
So there was a powerful moment of it very much in the episode 1 where we had the lick, and that was the kind of ugh moment. This episode had a poignant moment again for me, and it was well written. Was the kill me?
Oh wow, yeah,
Definitely.
We all thought Kilgrave. He's writing Kilgrave. No, kill me. And the having that the ambulance driver, in that way, and he's asking to be killed. His mother's a holy roller. That has something to do with it. In fact, he has no kidneys. In fact, he has a stroke. Who knows? That was a very interesting way to kind of take what you could consider a very high risk TV show kind of subplot, as in euthanasia, which most TV shows won't touch.
Absolutely.
Now, obviously, she said no and walked away, but we don't know. Maybe she'll go back later and unplug him. Is that a storyline into itself later on? Is there a reason she won't do that? That was just a very powerful moment.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of hoping they'll do this. We'll have maybe these powerful moments. We'll have the powerful kind of shudder moments. We'll have these powerful heart-wrenching ones.
Yeah.
We'll have the powerful love-making. We'll have powerful laughing, powerful fighting. Like, I'm wondering if each episode will have this one kind of oh my god moment.
Right.
And I think that for me, that oh my god moment was the kind of kill me.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot kind of talked about around that, about how his mother is treating him. It's very much, she is, as you say, very almost addicted to her faith. Essentially saying that everything that's happened is in God's plan, saying everything that's gone wrong is because that's what God wanted, saying that he was a womanizer, he was a drinker, and he never came home. Now he's stuck in the house with her 24 hours a day. And isn't that great? Because she prayed for him to be saved by God, and that's why he's there. It's a tough scene. And then to see that that's the outcome of it, is that the note to Jessica to say kill him. Yeah. Really tough scene.
Yeah, it's really hard to deal with that. And I mean, of course, it has a lot of other threads around it, in that, you know, he's the ambulance driver that's disappeared. It explains why the John Doe that Jessica is looking for on the hospital records isn't there. And then also we have the whole link to the dialysis machine. And it's not just that Kilgrave took his kidneys, but it's that he's had a stroke since, and like he is simply wanting to leave. And I think just the pain on Kristen Risser's face on as she's kind of like saying, I'm sorry. Like, she's mouthing, I'm sorry, as she's leaving. And before that, she's like trying to speak to him because, you know, she recognizes there's a consciousness there, and saying, you know, I will get him. And then you get the whole him trying to write, and she thinks, like we all did, as Chris has said, it's Kilgrave, and then it becomes kill me. Like, tough scene, you know, really good scene for that. And it has a lot of story elements as well that drives into, you know, Dr. Karada, who's the guy who actually did the operation, and that whole storyline as well, which then involves Jerry Hogarth. You know, here's another example of what Hope is trying to say. So it was a really good scene. Yeah,
absolutely. John, do you want to give us your next point?
Yeah, I'm going to take slightly different tack here. I suppose it's that New York is part of the character of this show, and you have that for Daredevil. You've had that said again about Jessica Jones. It's also been said, say, for Gotham on the podcast that we do, Gotham TV podcast. And that plug. But that all, that the city is a character in it. I think as well, I just want to say, I think Jessica Jones's apartment door is also this character in it. We see it in the first episode with someone being flung through it. Mm-hmm. And now in this episode, Trisha is trying to make Jessica safe. She's trying to get it replaced. And there's a great scene where she again thinks that someone has broken into the apartment. I was there thinking it was Malcolm again had wandered in, and instead, and the poor guy who's been asked to come and put in the alias investigations window, replace the broken one, is flung through the air, is like essentially going to be hospitalized. And I just thought it was a really good kind of, false alarm. But again, it was all around the door, and I really thought this was interesting. And I'm wondering as well now whether the door is going to crop up in future episodes, because it really seems to be taking a life of its own. I mean, even just the fact that every time she closes, the hinges drop and, it's not level. It's just a nice thing because it's kind of so iconic from the comics. We talked about it in the first podcast about the guy being flung through. So it'd be interesting to see, but that was just a nice little touch for me, actually.
Absolutely. I wonder if it's kind of like the Nelson and Murdoch attorneys at law sign, which was quite a big talking point during the episodes of Daredevil, where it symbolized that they now had their own working practice. It symbolized the breakup of their relationship. So is this door that kind of symbol particularly between Trish and Jessica for this episode?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I still wish I had said avocados at law. Still wish.
Of course. My point is kind of connected with that. It was actually just about the scene where Trish arrives at Jessica's place. These two characters couldn't be more different, could they?
No.
It's a fantastically put together scene because it looks like Trish has never been there before. The reaction of her to the place is, this is nice. Okay. But she looks like she really stands apart from it. She looks like she's from a completely different society almost to Jessica. So I'm interested to see what the connection between the two characters is. She just seemed like she just didn't belong in Jessica's, down and out world in Hell's Kitchen. So quite interesting.
Yeah, it was the fact that I think she said it's like, your place is cute, and Jessica read into that, it's a dump. I can tell by your voice. Like it's just, a really good little scene. Yeah. And I think it just says, again, Jessica is trying to protect Trish. Stay away from me. I'm life threatening.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a really good little scene. Definitely.
Absolutely. And I do like the fact that essentially Trish will just throw money at it. If Jessica has a problem, Trish will go, here's a couple of grand to sort out the door, and fix all the issues they have together as well.
We all need friends like that.
Oh God.
I've yet to find one, but, you guys can be my friend like that.
Maybe not. But if you'd like to sponsor our podcast, you can you can send donations to, that was my point.
No, and I agree with you guys. Like I said, it's kind of one of my first of 6 points. It for me that is going to be an interesting story arc. Mm-hmm. How are they friends? Why are they friends? Where is that going? Will they become vigilante best friends again after drifting apart? Are they going to come to blows? Blah blah blah. Like, is hell powered? Blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. I think it. Again, also from a directorial kind of casting choice, they were right with these two characters. Yeah. It is black versus white almost, in even the look and feel of the costumes of the two of them.
Yeah,
one is prim and proper, the other is not down and out, grungy, dirty, kind of the girl I'd like to meet on the street at the middle of 3 a.m. in Hell's Kitchen. But yeah, no, I think it's an interesting dichotomy between the two.
Yeah, definitely. Chris, do you want to give us your final point?
Yeah, for me, it was the scene, the interrogation scene, or interrogation, probably wrong word, between Jessica and Hope. Mm-hmm.
Interview.
That would be a better way of putting it. Yes, interview between Jessica and Hope. It was quite interesting. Obviously, at first I thought, because Hope was just staring off the distance, oh no, she's brain damage, something's happened, she's comatose, it's kind of this craziness. Then we do see that she comes out of it, and she kind of said, kill yourself, as one of the most memorable parts of that conversation.
Definitely.
But the one that stuck out for me was, are you a good jumper, Jessica?
Yeah.
He used to make me jump all the time, but I always came in second in the state finals, always came second in the state finals. Are you better than me?
Yeah.
Again, so I was kind of going, oh, so he abused Jessica's powers while she was there.
Yeah.
I'm making her jump kind of like a tall building in a single bound.
Yeah.
Or 2 bounds. We still don't know if she can fly, but fingers crossed.
All right.
But that scene as a whole was very kind of interesting in terms of just the insight we get into Hope, but also these little tidbits that we get into Jessica.
Absolutely. It's like as if Kilgrave has set up Jessica as being the person at fault for Hope's situation. He's basically telling her, if Jessica hadn't run away and hadn't left me, I wouldn't be doing this to you, and you're not as good as her, is basically what he's kind of saying.
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest things about that scene for me as well, was just the fact that, and I kind of wasn't expecting her to say it, but just that Hope blames Jessica for the death of her parents, and that it is her fault. She talks about her brother now being all alone, and why couldn't you have made sure he was dead, and all this. And she goes, you should kill yourself. And again, the self-loathing of Jessica Jones prompts her to say, probably, but I'm the only one that knows you're innocent.
Yeah.
And it kind of kicks off again, trying to persuade Jerry Hogarth to take this case. And again, really cold sort of response from Jerry Hogarth. It's like, I only take cases that I win. This is not a dead certainty.
Oh, the loser one. There's a name for these.
Like,
losers.
It's really, brutally sort of, about self-importance coming from Jerry Hogarth. And it's something that struck me as being very different, say, from if this is the Jerry Hogarth of Iron Fist, at least from the Immortal Iron Fist comics, that's a slightly different. Jerry Hogarth, the man from the comics, it seems a much more nervous character, is much more kind of down on his luck, doesn't have that self-confidence, which, he's good at his job, but he doesn't express that confidence like, Carrie-Anne Moss is doing, here as Jerry Hogarth.
Yeah.
And in particular, the self-importance, the self-confidence, and in a sense, the disregard for weaker people. It's a really interesting kind of look at that character. And it all comes about from Jessica saying, I need someone else now to believe what I believe, and we need to get the legal.
I wonder if we're going to see, is this the downfall of Jerry?
Maybe.
So, she was a high-flying lawyer. By the end of Jessica Jones Series 1, she's down on her luck. She doesn't trust herself. She's more kind of retrospective, inflective, and then that's where it slots into the Rand Injuries organization.
Yeah, maybe good point. I did also like the scene itself where Jessica's talking to Jerry and telling her, I'll owe you a favor if you do this for me. And you can see that she's just spitting out the words. Jessica does not want to owe any person, anybody at all, no matter how much she works with them or knows them. She doesn't want to owe anybody a favor. That was the most disgusting thing she had to say out of her mouth. I owe you a favor. Fantastic moment. Really, really good. John, do you have a final point?
I do. And it is Kilgrave's weakness. Like with the cockroach, we find out that potentially, still to be confirmed, but that Kilgrave may have a weakness. We find out from, it's Dr. Karada, who did the kidney transplants, that he did it purely with a local anesthetic, not a surgical full anesthetic, because he was controlling him all the time to make sure that he did it and didn't kill him or that he wasn't left on the table to bleed out. Kilgrave ultimately wanted that control all the time. And I think this is what Jessica has now seized upon to say, right, this is something that I can work with to make sure he's no longer a threat, to remove his power of control against people. And I love then right at the end where she says, he knew my weakness, which is sometimes I care about people, that I actually give a damn. Now I know yours. It's kind of this, I've said in the synopsis, the playing field's been leveled. Mm-hmm. She knows his, he always knew what hers was, and that's what he tapped into. And now she's got this potential, weapon or means of maybe bringing him down.
Yeah, definitely, because it feels like there would be nothing that would take down somebody that all he has to do is speak to you and he can control your mind,
Cotton bud or wax in the ears.
There you go. I like it. Just get some headphones on, Yeah. Really good.
So, Derek, have you got a final point for us here?
I don't really, because most of the points have been taken.
Okay, good.
I did want to just talk about the neighbours, actually, again, because I really did enjoy that scene. I thought that was a hilarious moment, but we have talked about pretty much most of my points throughout this discussion.
But, the wyverns.
I know, hilarious.
I was not expecting that. Yeah. We'll pick up some pans. And he was like, "What? That makes no."
Yeah. And I certainly wasn't expecting the neighbours to be twins. Wasn't expecting
fraternal twins.
Yeah, that was a bit crazy. But these are interesting characters, and it seems like to them, Jessica is the bitch in the apartment below, essentially. So,
bitch in apartment 23.
Yeah, so I want to check.
We need to check.
I want to check the number.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought that was a fun little moment. So yeah, with these neighbours upstairs and with Malcolm in the building, it's a really interesting building to live in. It just kind of shows you what the neighbourhood of Hell's Kitchen is like and the kind of people that live there. She's clearly down her luck, not got much money, and has her little office in the middle of an apartment block with these kind of neighbours around her. So kind of an interesting little location. Yeah,
it's one of those things where you think if Wilson Fisk wasn't in prison, he would probably be trying to tear down that apartment block to save his city.
Very true.
Really, it's but it is a nice little kooky element, I think, to this. And yeah, like the white Y fronts was not expecting that. I love how, there's this random argument going on about cordon bleu. And
it's French, John.
Yeah, it's just, really, really, just weird. And it's she grabs the woman by the throat and just,
lifts her up
and tells her, shut up and get a life. Yeah. I love it. Really like
really, it. Really good. Really, really good. Is that all the points everybody has?
That's everything for this one, I think.
That's everything, yeah.
Chris, do you defend this episode?
I do. Yep, no, and yeah. So that was a yes, yep, no, yeah.
Excellent.
So there was a part in between apparently I didn't like, but I did know. I very much enjoyed it. And again, I'm holding out hope that this is going to be a continued up trajectory for each episode. Mm-hmm. We don't get any fillers. Based on Daredevil, we may get one or two, but I'm holding out hope.
Excellent. John, do you defend this episode?
Yes, I do. I defend this episode as much as I did last time. I'm going to give it again 4.5 bags of dicks out of 5.
Private dicks.
Private dicks, of course. This was, again, another great episode. It is much more of a slow burner than, I think, Daredevil. But I loved the introduction of Kilgrave for real this time. For me, I absolutely loved the introduction of Kilgrave in person this time, actually menacing that poor family in the apartment. I thought the bar fight and the lead up to that, with kind of the split, I suppose, between Luke Cage and Jessica was really good. The fact that we got Luke Cage and his unbreakable skin, that to me was the most unexpected part of this, which I just absolutely enjoyed when it happened in the bar. And then when he brought the angle grinder to those abs, right. I mean, it was just sheer wonder, really. Great writing. I love then the two sort of poignant moments here, with Hope at the start, and obviously with the ambulance driver, Jack Denton, really poignant, really quite sad, quite tough scenes to do, but just how they all carried on the story from that central hub, both through Jerry Hogarth's sort of involvement now within Hope's case, and also then for Jessica tracking down Dr. Carrada in order to find then this weakness of Kilgrave's that gives Jessica, and of course ourselves as the audience, hope that this guy who does seemingly have this absolutely impenetrable skill and power can have a weakness that can be used against him to take him down. Yeah. So I loved it. I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Derek, do you defend this episode of Jessica Jones?
Absolutely, yeah. For all the points you've said, I think the opening scene with Hope is a really tough scene to watch, and it really shows you what Jessica could have become if she never got away from Kilgrave. It's really interesting to show that other side. Jessica's a tough character, but you can see how brittle she is underneath it all and the exterior that she has, and just her having that scene of her sitting in a room with Hope, showing what she could have become, I thought was fantastic. The scene with in the bar fight, absolutely brilliant. Again, showing the parallel between her and another superpowered being or superpowered character. Really interesting to see those parallels for Jessica. And again, loads of other stuff going on in this episode, loads of stuff with the characters that I really, really enjoyed. Definitely defend this episode.
Excellent. I think with that, we can move on to some of the feedback that we've received.
Yeah, we got a bit of feedback in from Rebecca about our discussion about Iron Fist, I think was in episode 30. She says just a little bit of feedback about Iron Fist and guns. In Immortal Iron Fist, Orson Randall is an Iron Fist that uses guns, and he explains it to Danny. So I think that Danny can use guns, he just doesn't because he didn't know he could until Orson Randall explains it to him, and by that stage he's already used those powers essentially, so he doesn't use guns. So that's just to answer your question about whether you would see Danny Rand running around with pistols.
Yeah, no, I thought he did. I thought there was somewhere in my mind I remembered there being guns involved, and I think it's more that, yeah, he doesn't want to use them and he wants to use the power of the Iron Fist, but given the circumstance, there is always the possibility that he could use a gun, or given who is the Iron Fist at that moment in time, there could also be a moment where guns are a weapon of choice.
Absolutely. And Rebecca also says that Orson Randall is described as having experience focusing his chi into pistols and sometimes known as gun fu. There you go.
I love Gun Fu.
Gun Fu is awesome.
I like it.
And in that actually the series she's mentioning, there is a number of mini kind of flashbacks to other previous Iron Fists as well.
That's right. Yeah.
We had one of the Iron Fists with bow and arrow, who was raining fire. But I think Danny's. I think it's better because if we're going to see Danny with a pair of shotguns and a bit more Punisher-esque, I think it's going to be, it'd be like, yeah, just send Danny in, the rest of them could just take a break.
Yeah, I want to see the Iron Fist, definitely.
But Gun Fu would be good.
True, but then you had the whole bending bullets thing. Remember that the terrible movie with Angelina Jolie and what was the other guy?
Chris Evans in that as well?
No, it was...
It was Wanted, wasn't it? With Charles Xavier.
Yeah.
Yes.
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy, that's it. Yeah.
But the bending of the bullet, that's Kung Fu, and that's just like, it just doesn't translate. I suppose they could, but not on a Netflix budget.
Yeah. Iron Fist with the chi.
Right.
By the fist.
Thanks for that feedback, Rebecca, on Iron Fist. A little bit of feedback from Ben Rush, also on the first episode and on our first podcast already. Thanks very much, Ben. He says, I will say, if they do that scene in Jessica Jones between her and Kilgrave, I hope that they don't go full girl with the dragon tattoo Swedish version on it, because I think for a Marvel show that might be a step too far. Within the dragon tattoo films it works, but I think the average comic book movie viewers are not ready for something that intense. So about your point, Chris.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I know the scene in the version of the film he's talking about, the non Daniel Craig version. I think they can do it. I think when we kind of had a brief discussion, post the show about that topic as well. John brought up Game of Thrones and that Sansa Stark in the latest series, and that one that was quite controversial. That was on network television in the States, network television across the world, and that got away with it because this, you've got to remember as well, that they're trying to ground Game of Thrones, a fantasy show, in reality.
Yeah.
And this is a superhero show, which they're trying to ground in reality. And I think showing that brutal aspect of that act and that scene in particular, I think they probably will do it.
Yeah.
They may do it. They may go the kind of Game of Thrones style on it, and they won't obviously show any XXX rated kind of viewer discretion advised scenes. Right. Or they may go the completely other way, which is a flashback from her point of view in the dark, silhouetted, with her crying, and it's just after, and we just told it's happened.
Yeah, yeah. I think also, for example, in the first episode of Jessica Jones, you see a woman kill her parents. Well, you think you do, but you don't. You see nothing of it. You see her taking a gun out of her bag as the elevator door closes, you hear 2 shots, and the bodies are left there at the end. You've actually seen nothing, but everything implied shows you how affecting a scene can be without having to show exactly what's happened. So I think that's also a possibility.
Can you imagine David Tennant closing the door, full Kilgrave mode, with Jessica on the bed, closing the door, and then we cut to purple, and then you cut to Jessica crying on the bed.
Yeah.
That will be as powerful and you'll know, everyone will know, and based on the person's age, experience of the world, blah, 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 we will infer our own levels of emotion to that scene.
Absolutely. And some of our listeners probably have seen exactly what's happened in the future episodes, but obviously, again, we're not watching ahead. So,
yeah, and I can understand the comment, definitely, but I think the show is saying that Ryan Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos, it's their version of Jessica Jones, of Alias, that is sort of informing this show. I think it can be done where it's implied. It doesn't have to be anything explicit or really full on. And I think as well that, in the same way that the head smash in the door from Daredevil, you didn't see that happen, but you saw, Wilson Fisk repeatedly closing the door. You saw the blood on Wesley, and it's implied. I think as well, we do have to remember that Alias comics, the graphic novels, were part of Marvel Max. So
they are very graphic.
They are graphic, and that's why they were Marvel Max. And so in that sense, it wouldn't surprise me if this is addressed, the scene from the comics in the show. But again, it's how it's done, and any scene or any show that tries to address and look at the way in which that brutal type of act is done has to obviously always be mindful about how they put it across, and that it is believable, sensitive, and makes it as despicable as everyone knows it to be. Yeah. So that's the thing. And I mean, at the end of the day, you have to say that Marvel will always use good judgment from everything pretty much that you've seen. And, that they do use that. So it will be interesting to see how, or if potentially they do approach this. But I wouldn't be surprised if that scene between Kilgrave and Jessica could be in it in some form or another.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to kind of close, I think the scene will be in it. I think everything we've seen from Daredevil and everything we've seen in these first 2 episodes of Jessica Jones leads me to believe they'll do it tastefully. They'll do it in a way that's still quite emotional, quite poignant, brings across the reasoning and the experience that needs to go across with that type of terrible scene, but it will not be in a way that causes outrage per se. I think what we've seen from Melissa in her writing style in the first 2 episodes and as kind of showrunner, and then what we've seen before with the showrunner in Daredevil, and then Loeb being across kind of the MCU as a whole. This is an adult version, but I don't think it's going to be that adult.
Right.
Or if it will be well done.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, and just one final thing. It is just to say, this is the important thing, I think, about Marvel on Netflix, is that we're able to discuss this.
Yeah.
In the same way as the uber violence from Daredevil, and particularly the Wilson Fisk scene with one of the Russian brothers' head in the door. I can't remember the name of the brother now, but who would have thought maybe 3 years ago that in relation to a Marvel property that you could, or it would generate those types of discussions that sort of, in a sense, broaden it out from purely comic book stories. And again, it has to be integral and part of the story. It can't just simply be something to add.
Absolutely.
And I always think, and it always reminds me of what Brian Fuller said in relation to Hannibal on those types of things, that, he did stuff that was part of the story, and I think that's what they would do here, hopefully. Yeah. So, yeah. Absolutely. Great feedback and comment, yeah.
Yeah, thanks very much for the feedback, Ben, and thanks again, Rebecca. If you want to send in your feedback, you can email us at feedback@defenderstvpodcast.com. You can also follow us on Twitter @DefendersCast. We will not be spoiling any episodes up there, so don't worry about it. If you also want to contact us, you can contact us through Facebook by joining our group. Just look for Defenders TV Podcast, or you can join the page, which is generally where we post our news and the episodes on Defenders TV Podcast.
And of course, remember, you can subscribe and listen to us at defenderstvpodcast.com/iTunes or any other good podcast catcher. Just search Defenders TV Podcast and we will pop up into your feed 3 baritone voices discussing all things Jessica Jones.
I want to be a soprano. Soprano!
You just need to get into a bar fight with
Jessica Jones.
And with that, I'm off to buy an ankle grinder.
Abs of unbreakable steel.
I'm off to do the 30-day shred.
Unbreakable shred?
Thank you so much for listening. Our next episode will be out on Sunday, the 22nd of November. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Great stuff, guys. This has been a Flickering Myth Podcast Network production. For more information, head over to flickeringmyth.com for more shows like it. Find this show in iTunes by searching for the podcast name, and head over to youtube.com/flickeringmyth to subscribe to the Flickering Myth movie show. We'll see you on the next podcast. Take care. Bye-bye.